You are free to imagine anything in this world. And no power in the world can stop it if you persist in that imaginal activity. But we are not disciplined, we are diverted. Propaganda controls the motion of our imaginal activity. You read the morning paper, you turn on the radio, you turn on TV, and you're diverted. If you could only imagine the state desired, go to the very end and dwell in the end as though it were true, and remain faithful to the end in a way that no one knows, it would objectify itself in your world. For objective reality is solely produced through imagining. So what are you imagining? It's going to come to pass. Let no one tell you that it will not. It will come to pass if you persist in the imaginal act. Everything in this world is God made visible. And God is your own wonderful human imagination. That is God. So God is man and exists in us and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself. So in you dwells the creative power of God, which is imagining. And you can't stop it whether you wake in this world or sleep tonight. You are imagining. The whole thing is simply all taking place within you. So I say to everyone, be selective in everything you do in this world and imagine it. What would you want of life? Don't say, what is it possible for me to have? All things are possible to God. He puts no restraint. There is no limitation on the power of imagining. Whoever believes that what he says will come to pass, it shall be done for him. That's what we are told. Therefore, when you pray, believe that you have received it, and you will. There is no limitation on that power, and that power is only your own wonderful human imagination. The most creative thing in man is to believe a thing in. So you go to the end, remain in the end as though it were true. And if you remain faithful to the end, means will unfold to externalize that end. You just take the most glorious concepts of yourself in this world. Having assumed that's what I want to be as a man, don't ask anyone for permission. You assume that you are it. Sleep in it just as though it were true. Wake in it just as though it is true. And then go to work just as though it's true. And you will find the whole vast world remolding itself in harmony with your assumption. When you reflect upon it, you are amazed at the bridge of incident that came into being across which you moved to fulfill that state. You have no idea how this whole thing came into being, but that wonderful unfolding picture of as you reflect upon it seems so natural. It seems so natural, you will say to yourself, well, it would have happened anyway. That's how natural it happened. But it would not have happened in eternity had you not assumed the end and lived in the end just as though it were true. So the secret of imagining is to conjure in your wonderful mind's eye a scene which would imply that you are the one that you want to be. Enact it in your imagination just as though it's true. Give it all the tones of reality. Give it sensory vividness. And then when I'm thinking from this state now, having given it all that I can of reality, I open my eye, it vanishes, and this returns. But I say to myself, I gave it the right of birth. I am apologizing to you, but you must vanish now. My present state that I dislike must now vanish from my world, and the state that seemingly at the moment is unseen will come into being and take the place of the present outward world. Now here I am thinking from this room. Here is an important point in the secret of imagining. I'm always thinking from a state. If I don't like the state that I'm seeing and that I'm experiencing, well then, what state would I like to be in? Assume it. Receive it in your mind's eye and assume it. Now view the world from that state. It's all the difference in the world between thinking from a state and thinking of a state. I'm always thinking from, and most of the time we're thinking of. Of is at the moment subjective. From is objective. I take the state I'm thinking of and bring it into my consciousness now and think from it. As I think from it, I'm clothing it in reality. I'm giving it the tones of reality. And when I open my eyes, it vanishes, just as you're told in Genesis that he vanished the minute the other one returned. So I give that state from which I view the world the right of birth, and it has to come to pass. These are the secrets of imagining. Now you take it and try it, and put it to the extreme test. Don't let anyone interfere with you. If you feel you are not at the moment strong enough to do it without discussion, be quiet. Don't talk to anyone. Just do it. Just try it. I could tell you unnumbered stories of those who never discussed it with others. Not that discussion would have spoiled it, but they did not feel that others would understand and think them mentally a little bit off. And not wanting to feel that they were simply not within the norm of the stream of normal life. They simply held it to themselves, and everything that they imagined has come to pass. But strangely enough, people not knowing the deeper secrets of Scripture, when they bring into the world all the things that they have, they forget how they brought it in and try to protect it without the things. They have all the things in the outer world to protect it now, when they brought the whole thing in by their own wonderful human imagination. So they will say, now I have brought in all these millions into my world, and here I have them. And then they start insuring it beyond measure, to protect it against fire, to protect it against robbery, to protect it against that, when the whole thing came in without any help from anyone in the world. It just came because night after night and day after day, they lived their life in imagination. And having lived it and brought it all to birth, now they're going to protect it with the things of Caesar. And Caesar and his whole crowd were all as mad as hatters. Any man who, having brought it into birth, who then turns to the world of Caesar to protect it, is simply confessing he doesn't really believe. So the secret of imagining is the greatest of all problems, to the solution of which everyone should aspire. Why? Because supreme power, supreme wisdom, supreme delight lie in the solution of this mystery. Now when you go, trust in your own imagination. Imagine noble things, lovely things. I don't care what the world will tell you what it looks like. You continue in your lovely concept of what it ought to be. But begin with self. Live in an all wonderful, noble life. What's wrong with being, well, you name it. I don't care what you want in this world, how precious it may be in the eyes of others. It's not beyond your right or beyond your ability to achieve it. If you can simply assume that you have it, well then it will be done for you. For ways and means will unfold that you will not consciously determine. You only determine the end. I dwell in the end, and living in the end, I create the means to the fulfillment of that end. Now let us go into the silence for a moment.